If you receive a database or you create one and later on you decide to go ahead and break it down into smaller, more meaningful parts, for example, I've got a name column here, and what if I change my mind and I say, oh, I didn't mean to put our last name and first name together in the same column. I want two separate columns, one for the last name and another one over here for the first name. Or how about for this column here, Social Security, I actually have their Social Security number next to the department, and the department like HR, Human Resources. So that's another column that I would like to break up into two separate columns, one for the department and one for the Social Security number. So if you need to split your text into columns, then before we use the Excel feature, it's called text to columns, you want to think ahead one step. In other words, I want to take this column first and have last names here and let's say first names over here. Well, this already has something in it, so let's come up here and right click on that column, and then it opens up a menu and say that we want to insert a new blank column. It pushes everything over and gives us a new column that allows us to take, at least when we use the feature, extract their first names and put the first names over here and leaving their last names here, okay? Then go ahead and select the range that you want to go ahead and divide into columns. Then come up here and click on the Data tab and go to the Data Tools group and click on Text to Columns. Click on it. It opens up a three-step wizard. In other words, it's going to ask us questions. You give it the answers. Based upon those answers, it's going to hopefully split this off correctly. Now when it says choose the file type that best describes your data, in other words, when you look at your data here, is your data separated by some sort of character? They call them delimiters. In other words, do you have something like a comma, a tab, a space, some sort of character that Excel can look at and go, ooh, everywhere there's a comma, I'm going to go ahead and split it there. So anything to the left of the comma is going to be one column, anything to the right is going to be in the other column, which works out perfectly for us because everything to the left is going to be last name, to the right is first name. The other option is fixed width. If you don't have a character, well, we'll cover that in just a minute, you'll select that. So we'll stay with delimited. Of course, you have a preview of your data down below. Let's go ahead and click Next. If we stay with delimiters, then it's going to ask us, well, which is it? Well, which delimiter do you have in your data range here? Is it a tab? Is it a semicolon? It's not a tab, so I'll be sure to uncheck that. It's actually a comma. Now, the moment I select that, notice down here in the preview, a line splits the columns. And that's what we want Excel to do, is to go ahead and see that there are two separate columns to split it off so we can have our last name and first name. You can also choose other, and you can type in whatever character you want. I mean, maybe you have something like asterisk or parenthesis, something that's separating and breaking these apart that Excel can recognize and divide it down below. Of course, I don't want that. Uncheck that. Notice when I check space, it actually removes the space. Well, when I uncheck it, because you'll notice over here we have last name, comma, space first. Well, if I include both of these, it'll actually go ahead and not only split at the comma, but also at the space. So I don't see the comma and I don't see the space. It collapses it in. So when it splits into last name, comma, first, I don't have last name, space, first. So I'll go ahead and choose both. Click Next. First of all, you can see here the column data format. What format do you want to be able to go ahead and split these up into two columns? Do you want it general, just the way it is? Is it going to be just strictly text? In other words, when you look down here, and you can see that this whole column is selected, you can see general. In fact, if I go back to general, it's both general. You can change the columns before they're split into a different type of formatting. You can even say date, month, day, year, or day, month, year. Of course, we're dealing with text. Actually, I'm going to keep it general. You can also say don't import that, skip it, just import this. In other words, when we're done, the destination for the data here when we split the text is going to be cell B5. Well, there's B5, it's going to be right there. If I don't want to import that there, well, the only thing that I'm importing, because I'm skipping this, actually, let's not skip it. Let's go ahead and go back to general. So we have both our columns. What's going to happen is it's going to go ahead and take the last name, dump it in cell B5, and then we got a column over here, and it's going to move it over, the first name, into column C. You can click the Collapse Dialog Box button. You can see the marching ants. It's already selected in cell B5. I can go ahead and select another cell, and what's going to happen here is it's going to dump the last names here, and then over to the right, the first names. But I like it the way it was, or where it was selected, B5. Click on the expandable dialog box, then hit Finish, and I'm done. Yay, it works. The thing about it is remember that I went ahead and I not only checked the delimiter, the comma, but also the space. So if I double click in this cell, you'll notice that when I go to the far left, There's no space. It removed the space as well, which is really nice. I don't need that. Hit the escape key to get back out. Now, of course, let's go ahead and fix this. This is last. Hit the tab key, and this is first. Alright, let's go ahead and split this column here. So I have the departments, I have the Social Security. I can't use delimiters because I don't have any character spaces that Excel would recognize and go, oh, that's how I split them. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you the other way. There's a fixed way of going ahead and saying, okay, just 2 characters over, then go ahead and split it, because the departments are only 2 characters, right? EN, HR, LU, PR. So to go ahead and get started, let me think one step ahead. When I split the columns, do I want to overwrite the next column? No, I don't. Let me go ahead and come up here and right-click on column E. In the menu, go down and select Insert, pushes everything over, gives me a new column. So once I split the column, go ahead and select the data you want to split into 2 separate columns. Again, Data tab, Data Tools group, Text to Columns, go ahead and click on it. Now we don't have any characters, so we'll skip Delimited and go down to Fixed, and then click Next. Then down below it says, okay, go ahead and to create a line that cuts down through your data here, just click any one of these tick marks. When you click on it, I haven't let go of my mouse yet, I get this faded line. You want to go ahead and move it over so it's splitting, at least in this example. So it's splitting between the departments and the Social Security number, because if I move it over here and I click Finish, I'm going to get this part in one column and that part in the second column. It's not going to work. So let me come back over this line and click and drag it and go to the left here. If I click and accidentally add another line, just go ahead and click on it and click and drag and move it off. Okay, looks good. Click Next. And then of course I can go ahead and select this column and say you're going to be text, you're going to be, the format of you is going to be date now. Or I can come over here, select that and say that you're not going to be imported, just like we mentioned. The destination cell, if I click on the Collapse dialog box button, it's going to dump everything here, and the first column is just going to be the department. So it's going to take EN, HR, leave them here, and then take everything else and dump it to the adjacent column. Hit the Enter key on the keyboard to pop back open the window, click Finish. Looks good. Let me come up here, and this is Department, and hit the Tab key, and this is Social Security. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.